Mark Rogers TV talking Miami football, and the best way to do it is bring on Cam Underwood from State of the U. Cam's been joining us for a number of years, and join him for the best in Miami football coverage for college football right here. It's YouTube on Mark Rogers TV. It's the audio versions at Stitcher, Podbean, and iTunes. All right, Miami, number 18 in the coaches poll. We're going to assume that they win the first couple of weeks. That Florida State's game's going to be huge, and then forget the preseason rankings. Of course, they're going to be meaningless at some point. They do give us an idea of what the coaches or the coaches' assistants, the sports information directors, or maybe some intern in the sports information director office feels about those particular teams. But your thoughts about the 18 ranking to start the season?
I think that the 18 ranking is pretty fair, honestly. When you look at the teams immediately above Miami in the rankings, 17 is Louisville, 16 is Florida, 15 is Georgia, 14 is Stanford. I think that that's comparable. And then Miami's right in front of K-State, West Virginia, who we blew out in the bowl game, and then South Florida down at 21 and Virginia Tech at 22, but Virginia Tech is replacing a lot more guys than Miami is, so it makes sense that even as a division champion from last year, Virginia Tech slides back a little bit. So I think that this is a good spot for Miami to be ranked. Obviously, if we had a steady quarterback situation, i.e. if Brad Kyle were returning, I think that ranking would be higher, maybe in the top 15 range, somewhere in there. But yeah, this is a team that has, a top 2 or 3 defensive line in the country, a top, maybe I think the best front 7 in America. Explosive playmakers all over the field and returning guys like Amon Richards and Chris Herndon and freshmen like Mike Harley and Jeff Thomas. Also cannot go without mentioning Mark Walton, the best returning running back in the ACC, and he's going to be a top probably 10 national running back this year. So there's plenty of offensive firepower, plenty of solid play on the defensive side. There's talent in the defensive secondary, even if they might be unproven at this level. When you have guys coming from backup or rotation jobs to starters like a Sheldrick Redwine and Jaquan Johnson, and then infusing some transfers like a D. Delaney from the Citadel, 2-time FCS All-American, and Javante Dean from JUCO at Blinn College out in Texas, which is where Cam Newton went to his JUCO year. And then guys like Malik Young in the secondary as well, Trajan Bandy, Michael Jackson, who's a rotation player in the secondary as well. So there's a lot of things to like for this team. And I think that there is, obviously, with a schedule that's not really that challenging overall, I think there's room for upward mobility from this 18 ranking. But as we're, looking over the landscape of college football right now, today, in the middle of August, or middle of August, I think Miami at 18 is a good spot. And then if we are really looking to do better, which we are, and be ranked higher, which we are, then we're going to have plenty of opportunities on the field this year to win those games and then elevate that ranking.
So for all but one of the first 7 or 8 games of the year, Miami's going to be a substantial favorite. Of course, so we're talking about the Florida State game in game number 3. So again, the ranking is going to be determined by week to week by the wins and losses. But you got to think that a game at Tallahassee against what could be the number 1 team in the country at that point, if they knock off Alabama, and certainly unless they get blown out against the Crimson Tide, going to be a top 5 team, that Miami's going to, even if they play within a touchdown of Florida State, as they have the last couple of years, they maintain a top 15 to 20 ranking. A blowout's going to send them off the top 25 radar, and a win, of course, is going to catapult them into a national championship race at that point.